All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on this. I had found this chassis online, Jenny's RC. They have really good deals on stock parts. So I found this, and of course this, which is pretty much everything I need to put my crashed infraction back together. The YouTube infraction did crash. I pulled the electronics out of it and stuck it into my other infraction, my backup infraction. With that said, is I no longer have one infraction, because looking for the parts were going to be more than buying a roller. But looking for deals and eBay bucks. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but when you buy a lot of parts that your local stores don't have, I use eBay, and eBay bucks adds up. Well, in 9 days, my eBay bucks expire. So, with that said, I had about $70 in eBay bucks. And what I found was these parts, which is the chassis for $48.97, and then all the other parts that are in this bag, which are battery trays and mainly most of the plastics, for $26.97. And then I got a 5% off code, and then I used my eBay bucks, which basically meant this stuff for $70 was all free. So went ahead and picked up the chassis, went ahead and got all the parts. So I am waiting for the control arm that broke and the shock that broke. Those two parts still haven't come, but I'm going to start getting this put back together, so that I have another infraction or limitless or whatever I need. I have a backup car, because when doing speed runs, if you do crash, it's nice to have a roller or something around that you can continue on with your project. So I'm going to start getting this thing together. I am going to show you you guys the progress of this. I don't know if it's worth doing a step-by-step on this. You guys let me know in the comments if it is, if it's something you guys want to see. I am going to film part of it today, and then I'm going to post this up. I don't know if I'm not going to get it all together today, but most of it will. I did save all the hardware. Like I said, I put them in these containers. So I pretty much have almost every part I need to put this back together. So I did pull off the standoffs for the steering off the other chassis. So I'm going to start with putting that stuff back on, so that I can start getting the back put on and the front put on and all that stuff put back together onto this chassis. So should be a fun ride. Hopefully, I don't know if anybody's seen a complete build or a chassis change on one of these. But if you haven't, stick around, because it's really not that difficult. I know a lot of people won't take the chance to do this, or maybe some want to take a chance, but I think it's difficult. It's really not that bad. I've been doing RC a long time, and I got inspiration for doing this stuff with YouTube videos and that kind of stuff, because up until that point, like I said, I am a mechanic, so my mechanical skills are pretty high up there on the list when it comes to like fabrication or trying to work out some sort of situation that that you get yourself in. So I've learned a long time ago, never really be scared to take on a challenge, because you never know where you're going to end up. So you guys saw me tear down some of this stuff last time. I take everything off in complete pieces, so I can put them together that way. I originally was planning on doing spare parts with this one, but after finding the chassis and seeing the money that I had available, I decided it might be better just to throw this back together, since it's really not going to cost me anything, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna get these nuts and bolts opened up. I do have a lot of spare parts when it comes to the Arrma stuff, which is good. I used to only have Traxxas stuff, but then soon found that I've been doing more Arrma stuff lately than Traxxas. So this is the rear support brace. I'm going to get this bolted down first so that it should line up the rest of the stuff I need to put on. Now it is a little difficult when the RC is unbalanced to work on some of it, but just work through it, take your time, and you'll be surprised on how far you can get. When it comes to the nuts and bolts, Arrma is pretty standard on what they use. Let's see. Now what I like to do is I actually chalk up the bolts in the rear just a little loosely, just so you can line things up. I'm going to try to use as much factory hardware as I can, but some of the bent bolts will get replaced with stainless steel, because when I buy hardware I tend to buy stainless steel. And what I did notice on this chassis is that some of the bolts have nuts on the back side, and when I pulled it apart, some of the nuts fell out. Some stayed in, like that one, and some fell out, so I might have to replace some of those nuts as well. Right now it's just all the big hardware. This is one of the nuts that actually came out, so I'm going to try to get it put back into a slot. Most of the time they stay in, but sometimes when you rip apart an RC like I did, because I wasn't planning on putting it together, I just knocked it apart real quick. And at this stage it is pretty awkward because only one half is together. That should be enough to hold on the rear. So as you see, the rear section is pretty far together. Now on the front, on these standoffs, they come with bushings, which are these gold bushings here. I'm going to see if I can find some bearings, because I don't know if I saved all of them. And I don't know if Fast Airings bearing kit actually will come with bearings for that. I'm assuming it would. Here's the Fast Eddy ceramic bearing kits that I buy. So I'm assuming it would be these. Oh, not that one. And there are 4 of them. So I am going to use those 4. They could be meant for something else. I'm not sure. But here's my front. And I can tell that the bottom bushings are gone. There is one top bushings or bushing. I do have 2 here, so I might have lost one or misplaced one, I don't know, but I'm hoping these bearings will pop right in here, which of course they do. And then I'll put bearings on both sides of this servo saver. Snug that up a little bit. We're going to slip this, well, I think, yeah. So I'm going to slip these over here. Now I've never really pulled these apart to put the bearings in the steering. I never saw a need for it. So I'm going to take these bushings and throw them back in my kit. It's good to save all your old parts. I'll pop these bearings off the chassis because I'm going to have to flip it. And I'm going to have to find a new front plate for this. So give me a second, I'll be right back. I'm going to locate the pieces I need for the front of this. Be right back. All right, here we go. So I have one of these that are used because this one, as you see right here, it cracked and ripped out the bolts here, caused some damage, but we will need these nuts out of here because, as you see, I transferred everything. So this was on one of my crashes. I had to buy this piece to get this front piece, which is this. I believe they come together. So this one's good. These were my takeoffs, so I'm going to use that for this build, as this piece suffered a lot of damage as well. You can see the impact there. It ripped out most of the screws. Most of the screw holes got ripped out. That screw actually got stuck in there. So I do have one of those. And this one is actually almost brand new. This was one of my first, when I got my first infraction, I had crashed it like the second day or something. And so I just bought parts to clean it up and put it back on the shelf because this one had some scratches. And I hadn't had the chassis protector on there long enough. I did find a battery tray that I pulled off. I did break a battery tray. I don't know if this is the right side that I need, because I believe that's this side. And I don't know if I don't think they're the same right and left. So it's probably not the one I need, but I can use the straps off of it. So right now we're going to get this thing flipped over. First, I'm going to take this support brace and I'm going to bolt that down. That gives me a good starting point. Make sure that nothing else is bent. That is not down all the way right now because that slid over. That'll give me a good base to start. I'm going to leave it loose up here until I get the rest of this hardware in to where it needs to be. Might have to do something about that. I'm going to get the front diff bolted on first. Hopefully I don't find anything else bent up. There we go, that's clicked in. And then I need to put those 4 bolts in first before I put this cover. Now, these two, we're going to leave these out. Leave these front 2 holes out because those are going to be those holes. That's it. I don't know if the nuts. Yep, both those nuts were there. These back ones look like they're gone. So that'll give me a base to start. This shock will have to fix. This control arm has to be fixed. Now I did find one of my front splitters, so we'll be able to run that, which is going to go right in there. which is good. So piece by piece, I got to find the nut. You see how there's a nut there? This one fell out, so I'm going to get some of these nuts that are missing on all these pieces here. I'm going to locate some of those and we'll be right back. Alright, so here's the bad piece. I went ahead and pulled off all the nuts that were here, the ones that were in the back, and I transferred them all into the new piece. So now we're going to start getting that stuff bolted down. And you got to be careful when doing it this way because you don't want those nuts to fall out. Right now they're kind of loose in there. And if you're unsure, you can always break out the book. Don't over tighten them because they do have nuts on the other side. And it will pull through the plastic. Now I'm just putting my finger on the back side to support the nut from pushing through. Because sometimes it'll screw into the plastic and then knock the nut out. Need a couple more. And this is why I save all the old parts. Arrma, when you buy their parts, they don't come with hardware. So you have to be careful with that. Because you don't want to end up throwing away a part that you should have kept. I think these were the long screws here. And then they are tapered on the base to fit flush. And then our new splitter. Now this splitter isn't tapered on either side. So you can tell, theoretically you can flip this over. But I can see this was the body side rubbing. And then this was scraping the ground. So this was one I didn't run it very long. Like I said, on the first infraction I got, it had bumped a curb and the splitter had come off. This goes down here. Now, I will have to find these bolts because the splitter was pretty much missing. I didn't bother looking for it, and I had silver screws in here because they're longer, just a little longer. So I run these stainless steel screws. That should secure that stuff. Let this hang. I wish I had the control arm already, because that way I can make it a full roller, but I'm still missing this lower control arm. See how that chassis flexes in the middle? That's how thin that chassis is. Look at that flex. And that's what all the bracing is there for, is that flex right there. That's why the upper brace is so important when people take them off. It's like, man, gotta run those braces. Whether it's a factory one or an upgraded one, you just gotta run them. I don't think it was these fat ones. But it could have been. Yep, it was the big fat ones. Now that that one's on, I can pull out that one. And there we go. So that's front and rear installed until I get some pieces for there. So these are fat boys. So that should be one of them. So I'm not going to worry about for now because that'll give it room to flip up. Let me grab my electronics. So if you guys remember, here are my electronics. So we can get those set back in. And I pulled it out as a complete unit. So the box went up here. And the motor went in there. There's the front. There we go. Front and rear drive shaft are in. It's going to be a balancing act. I'm going to set this down just to kind of help me support it. There we go. That'll hold my chassis kind of straight. Now we're starting to look like Limitless, boys. And the one girl that watches. Yes, I do have one girl subscribed to my channel, which is pretty cool. Might have a couple by now. But the girl is my sister. So, there we go, guys. I'm going to end this video here because it is getting kind of long. But as you see, battery trays, this, the side plastics. And that's pretty much it. And then I'll get this corner repaired as soon as the control arm comes in and the shock comes. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on my next video. Thanks a lot, guys.